So welcome back to our D6 Games 1K event. We are currently working on updating our names and everything. Currently, we are going into round number 4, and for this round, we have a pair of 2-1 players who are. We brought one because he's playing kind of a unique deck, kind of a homebrew, and we were excited to see him, another local player, at 2-1.
Who's our other match? I see some islands.
So our other player is Alex Olson. He's definitely looks like on a blue-white snow go kind of Teferi style list.
Snow go, I love it.
You're welcome. Thought you'd enjoy that.
Excellent.
Kind of typical list. Looks like he's got the Teferi, he's got the Snapcaster mages, the cryptic commands.
Oh, excellent. And it looks like he took the time to answer our little survey on the back to tell us a little bit about himself. You said that was Alex?
That's Alex Olson, yeah.
Alex Olson said he's been playing for 12 years. He's our opponent on the left-hand side of your screen. Playing for the last 12 years. His choice of deck today being a blue-white control list, his explanation is that it's nice, and I appreciate that. His greatest Magic achievement in this case was a Grand Prix top 8, which respect there. And he didn't have anything else for us to see. Looks like they've started. And yeah, he's playing a... Oh, yes. And Braden on the right will be playing a Teamer Ponza list, which we're getting corrected shortly. I did not see who won the die roll.
I did not either.
So this matchup can be a bit dodgy for... Again, for the...
Take out the P. No. T-E-M-U-R, Ponza. The Ponza's correct.
Braden's taking a mulligan. We're getting our overlay resolved, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm having a laugh about it. Magic the Gathering is a silly game.
With a lot of silly names.
The overview of this matchup from the perspective of the teamer list, this is going to be a bit of an uphill slog if you were to ask me. The Ponza lists are good at taxing the mana base and the development of that mana, but blue-white lists have a lot of efficient tools now going forward with things like, I'm looking for Force of Negation. I'm looking for things like an early Teferi. It looks like... Alex is going first here, so the challenge in this case is going to be, can we get out from underneath a Teferi, bouncing something like a Utopia Sprawl here?
50, not 45.
So he's going to fetch here. That'll be a search for Braden. I'll be curious to see. And the challenge for the Ponza deck here is going to be making sure that they're able to actually tax this mana development from the blue-white list.
So, I mean, one of the things with, as a control deck, you do need to make your land drops. You need to be able to have your mana to cast your spells. So, it's really about resolving these effects. Gets the Utopia Sprawl down, which is basically going to be good for 2 mana here.
Yeah, well, it's going to be good for 4 mana with the...
Thank you, Braden, for letting us know a color. So he chose red off of that.
So we're going
4 mana into Tireless Tracker.
With the red floating. He's going to opt in response. Tireless Tracker is going to be a good way to get out in front of some of the challenges. It's a must-answer card from Braden's point of view.
Yeah, and Braden being mana efficient here, just running out the Lightning Bolt. Probably correctly identifying that Lightning Bolt probably doesn't have a lot of targets, and as long as he's got that extra floating anyway, he might as well go upstairs with it.
Right.
It might kill a Snapcaster Mage later, but I think that's the correct play. Yeah, and Tireless Tracker is going to help him be able to keep ahead in this matchup. Just that incidental card advantage through the clues.
Powerful card advantage engine in Mr. Tireless Tracker.
Yeah, blue's not the only color that gets to do all the card drawing effects. It's sure you've got to maybe work slightly harder in green, but considering he's going to get 2 clues off of every fetch land, and there are several fetch lands in this list, he's going to be doing just fine here.
This is going to be a second Tireless Tracker for Braden. Now, I'm curious if our blue-white list is playing any main deck copies of something like Detention Sphere, something that might hit multiples.
I'm staring, looking at the sideboard kind of over your shoulder here. I don't see anything in the board.
Nope, and there's nothing in the main in the way of a detention sphere here, so we're going to see this resolve.
Yeah, and we're going to see probably an end step on tap of the Arbor Elf to just draw a card, to just get that card advantage going. Which I really like this. Like, when you can out card advantage that blue-white deck, like, you're going to have a good time. Oh, and we're valuing the Opt. I mean, he's probably looking for his sweeper. How many Supreme Verdicts is he on?
He has one main deck Supreme Verdict, two Supreme Verdicts in the
Okay.
main.
Because, I mean, double Tireless Tracker, the possible disadvantage for Braden is definitely overcommitting here. But, and clearly Alex, he knows what he needs to get. He needs to find a sweeper to answer these problems.
Being able to instant speed untap that Stomping Ground is pretty helpful here, too.
Oh, yeah. And getting to 3.
Cracking a clue, drawing a card. Ostensibly, he's hoping to... Oh, this is still during combat.
Yep.
There we go. All right, life totals are correct from here.
Okay. There's the Supreme Verdict. That's the card he wanted. Now, I mean, Braden still has 2 clues to work from, so he should be able to rebuild.
Yeah. And his mana development is hampered a little bit, but it still should be okay. The Ponza lists are not necessarily my personal favorite here, but
they have traction. Like, and if it's a style of deck that you enjoy, we're loading up the...
Oh boy, I'm not sure about that, but that's not my choice to make. There's a certain vulnerability.
I mean, I think if I had something I was doing right now with it, I might be in on it. Like, if I had the Arbor Elf on table, then maybe.
Right.
But because
there comes the Field of Ruin.
Yep.
And that's going to set Braden back now. He's going to add 3 mana to his mana pool.
Yep.
That's a costly tempo loss there for Braden. And it's the kind of thing that you don't, because Field of Ruin's
a card. It's in a lot of the blue-white decks.
Right.
It's not the end-all be-all. He does have his 2 clues, and he floated mana, so I'm expecting him to just crack his 2 clues to get himself back into it.
Right. From here, though, if your draws are something like Primeval Titan, you're probably having a bad time.
Yeah, I mean, he's on 4 mana.
Spend tap there to draw the extra card.
Yep.
Oh boy, that's heartbreaking from where I sit. Losing that kind of tempo hurts my feelings from the other room. So
yeah.
He's leaving 3 mana up. That looks like it's Force of Negation mana. I cannot see.
Could be Force of Negation.
Oh, there's a mana leak in his hand. He's got an Opt and a Jace, and he's going to work towards getting to a place where he's secure in casting that Jace.
Yeah.
And protecting it from here. The teamer list's looking over Braden's list. He doesn't have a lot of main deck ways to interact with those sorcery speed, those enchantment planeswalkers.
So I know Braden was 2-1 going in here. And Alex, I did not see his point total. I believe they're both 2 or no, Alex is actually 3-0 going into this.
Okay, so there's a pair down there.
It is a pair down. Which, I mean, small-ish tournament, like, these things happen.
Mullen, Voli, Acid Moss off the top here. Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's one Voli Acid Moss.
That's going to get the mana leak.
That's fine. Yes, Ponza wants to destroy his lands, but that's the spell he wants mana leaked as opposed to anything else he's got going on in his hand.
Yeah.
The problem Braden's going to run into is if he runs out of, like, relevant threatening cards. Oh, here's Bloodbraid Elf. What does Bloodbraid Elf get to bring to the party?
Lightning Bolt to the face.
Well, every little bit.
We're going to see another attack here for Braden.
No.
Cryptic Command.
Yep. Yeah, definitely not the card Braden wanted to Bloodbraid Elf into there, pretty much any permanent spell would have been a far, far
Right.
superior thing.
This is one of those places where, and I tend to be a little hard on the Ponza decks. This is one of those places where these decks tend to be much in the way a very similar kind of mana ramp strategy in Modern. They're working towards a particular end, but they're not always good at finding those ends.
Yes.
The way that maybe an Amulet Titan or a Titan Shift deck or something with an
Right.
actual Titan in it that isn't Inferno Titan, and that's gonna eat.
It's going to eat another mana leak. Yeah.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah. And what this really comes back to is it backing, like, it comes to the thinking back on it. We didn't, we were just so excited to see, we were in it too. We were so excited to see, like, double Tireless Tracker. Really shouldn't have run both those out. Because if he only runs out the one, that one on its own is enough advantage.
Yeah.
And then he plays the second one post Wrath, and then he's in a good spot. As it sits now, active Jace the Mind Sculptor, active Teferi, and I see Jace on 5. So thank you, Alex Olson, for going plus on your Jace and realizing it's your win condition. All right, and now it's just Drago, and I think Braden's flooding out here. Yeah, he doesn't even have any cards in hand. I think he's this one's probably going to end pretty quickly then.
Yeah. Out of the sideboard, and I don't mean to dismiss the game on hand, he might have some additional outs. He'll redraw here off of the Peatland or, Nourishing Peatland.
Yep, and I think he realized he saw his fetch land as he was doing it, so
Waterlogged Grove.
he's responding by fetching before getting his draw in. So,
Yeah.
so there's his fetch, shuffle up.
Looking at the sideboard for something like this, he's got Braden has 3 Veil of Summer, 2 Spell Pierce, 2 Scavenging Ooze, 2 Force of Vigor, 2 Torpor Orb, 2 Collector Oof, 1 Grafdigger's Cage, and an Obstinate Baloth. Now here I like the Veil of Summers.
Yeah, you definitely do the, you might be trying to kind of out-counter the counter deck. A lot of his counter spells and things he's doing are 2 mana.
Yep.
It's good against Snapcaster Mage, good against Mana Leak since he's shown it. That's a lot of it. Scavenging Ooze is fine, but not great. Spell Pierce is fine, but not great. I feel like that's what he's got. He's got a lot of cards that are definitely more for other matchups.
Going over the top here, I'm curious if he'll leave in.
And there we're entering the scoop phase.
It up.
Yeah, no,
I'll be
that's
curious
good
to see
choice
if
on his
Braden
part.
actually takes out. So he has Anger of the Gods in his main deck here. Do you trim in these situations? You think you'll trim a sweeper like this or take it out entirely?
Yeah, there's not a lot of creatures on the opposing side. Now, you don't know everything, of course, in your opponent's list, but there's not a lot on the other side that you'd be worried about, so I think that's an easy cut.
Sure.
Because I definitely think like there are definitely things, even as mediocre as they might feel, that are better. The Scavenging Ooze is definitely better. I don't necessarily like the Grafdigger's Cage as much. Yeah, they're definitely it's incremental cards is what we're looking at here.
So then looking over Alex Olson's sideboard here, he has a pair of Celestial Purges, which are really good against opposing Inferno Titans, Disdainful Stroke, Dovin's Veto, 2 Monastery Mentor, 3 Rest in Peace, 2 Stony Silence, a Surgical Extraction, 2 Timely Reinforcements, and a Vendilion Click. What's the actual worry for the blue-white player against this deck?
It's those early turns. Like you don't have a lot that can interact with like their early explosive starts. So you're going to need to try and mitigate that where you can. Dovin's Veto, strangely too slow. Monastery Mentor is actually fine because you can make tokens and kind of incidentally get things. You just need to survive turns 1 through 3 without too much damage to either your face or your mana base.
Okay.
I like Vendilion Click a lot. Actually in this matchup because you can play it on 3 and kind of like screw up their turn progression. A lot of these things are in here for other matches. The Extraction does nothing. Timely is mediocre at best. Celestial Purge probably comes in. And Disdainful Stroke because he has a Titan deck, the Disdainful Stroke is good. But that's kind of the end. I think the Dovin's Veto is just too slow and doesn't hit the Titans.
Sure.
The graveyard isn't relevant. He doesn't have a lot of artifacts to care about. And I think I've covered literally his entire sideboard there. So, like, blue-white, you're not doing a whole lot. A lot of your main deck cards that you already have are just good.
Yeah.
what he really wants to see is probably a force and negation in that opening hand. As strange as it sounds, like you kind of want to counter their mana acceleration with like the Utopia Sprawl.
Yeah.
It feels really bad to force a negation that, and yet that's what you need to do. You need to survive those first 3 to 4 turns.
Sure.
Get to your Supreme Verdict. No extra Supreme Verdicts in the board. So it's really good on him that he had that Supreme Verdict in game 1. Now, if he hadn't had that Supreme Verdict in game 1, he would have lost hard game 1.
Okay. What do we think about looking back at the Ponza deck, making room for the stuff that he wants to bring in? Do we like Oko, Thief of Crowns in this matchup?
I think Oko Thief of Crowns, like he doesn't take opposing planeswalkers is the awkward part.
Yep.
But
Pillage?
he can. But the pillage is fine. I don't mind the mana destruction again. If you can resolve that against the control deck, you're in a good spot.
Okay.
Any of your own planeswalkers are good. Like I like Oko, even though he's kind of weird. Ren and 6, just being able to rebuy things is really good. The lightning bolts are actually not that great. I don't know if I want to cut all of them, but maybe trimming them. They do aim at planeswalkers really well.
Sure.
So, all right, back to live action.
Braden's going to fetch. They both kept it 7. I'm not sure what I saw out of Braden's hand here.
Yeah. Braden's doing the classic modern thing of end step fetch. I see an opt in Alex's hand.
Jace the Mind Sculptor, Field of Ruin in pairs? No, a single Field of Ruin.
Yeah, I think there's a planes in there too, that's kind of the hand you want to see. But he's kind of light on lands. Like one resolved land destruction spell, and he could be in trouble here.
Braden plays a land and passes the turn again.
Yeah.
He's got Bloodbraid Elf. Looks like a Veil of Summer. And Veil of Summer is an interesting card. It was a strange inclusion. Again, we've got to draw, go.
Yep.
Oops, wrong one there.
Yeah,
A draw from Braden.
And drawing that Flooded Strand's exactly what Alex wanted. Like he just needs to hit land drops, get to turn 4. So Braden is definitely playing something this turn.
What do we think we've got coming our way? That looks like a scavenging.
Ooh, so he did bring the Oozes in. Incidentally good against Snapcaster Mage. Also another good threat.
Misses his 3rd land drop though, Stacy.
Ooh. That could be a problem. He's also got Tarmogoyf in hand. So, I mean, I think he's probably going on the beatdown plan, especially since he missed the 3rd land drop.
That's interesting, Stacy. He doesn't have Tarmogoyf in his deck list.
Am I just misseeing the card?
Yes. That's a Bloodbraid Elf.
Oh, okay. That's the Veil of Summer behind it. Okay,
Yep.
That's the one I mistook as the
Got it.
Tarmogoyf. That is my fault.
Did he get to his 3rd land?
He drew it real quick and just swung.
Yikes.
I thought I saw a lightning bolt in his hand, though.
He trades a Snapcaster Mage for a Scavenging Ooze. Braden still hasn't hit. He's going to cycle the Veil of Summer.
I think he was hoping to hit that land drop there.
Yeah, this is bad beats for Braden.
Yeah.
You can't. That's not even your fault. And there's the Monastery Mentor from the sideboard,
which I kind of expected.
I don't know if Braden expected it. Sitting on his side of the table, I don't always know.
Because you don't always know what your opponent's on. You don't know how many mentors. I mean, from Braden's perspective, that mentor could have been in the main, and his opponent just didn't see it in game 1.
Yeah.
Mentor's a beating, especially since he has it with mana up. Have we seen is there a Force of Negation in Alex's hand? Because that makes Mentor a lot better right here.
Oh, goodness. I do see one.
Okay.
I think, yes, I see that, and a Supreme Verdict, I think. So he's got the spell to pitch to it. A surprisingly powerful interaction, Supreme Verdict and Force of Negation with these blue-white decks. Being able to shift your focus from countering a non-creature spell into... and that's going to walk right into that Force of Negation.
Yes, it will.
He's going to read
He's
the card.
Got to read it. It's new. That's fair.
It's a new card. He's going to read it. I wish I could read it too. That's going to eat the Force of Negation, and he's debating whether he pitches the Jace. I can't see what he pitched. His exile is in another county.
That's okay.
He did not get his Monk trigger.
Oh, interesting. Oh, well. Force of Negation. Did remember his monk there, but with Teferi online.
Oh, he did.
Oh,
That's what that is. That tiny dot is a dice. I see.
okay. We just didn't see it.
Got it.
The black dice blends right in with the playmat there. So,
Sure. I'm old and blind.
The funny thing is, I'm older than you, and I usually can see things better. But
This is a bit of a hamstrung spot here for Braden.
well, is it my right that was an anger that he just drew?
It could be. No.
Oh no,
maybe.
no, he would have played anger there. So tireless tracker pass.
There's a cryptic command.
I think he's just aggressively crypticking.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's going to
Yep.
oust one of the tokens.
Yeah, and that
do
actually
the
makes it
damage.
lethal.
That's
so,
lethal damage.
All right.
Monastery Mentor, closing the game out as quickly as you possibly can.
Absolutely.
That is a blue-white beatdown Monastery Mentor deck.
That's what they do in Legacy. Like, it wasn't
That's
far off of
right.
what you would see a Miracles player do in
That's
Legacy.
right.
So being 2-0, I'm going to go check on our backup match and see where they're at.
All right.